Hello and welcome to Open Line. I'm Starlene Stringer. A long-anticipated project is now underway. Construction has started on the Midtown Express, and today we're going to learn a lot more about it. Let me introduce our guest. Dan Federal is the City Transportation Director. Don Williams is the Vice President of Economic Development and Operations at the Chamber of Commerce. Todd Reck is Water Utilities Director. And Casey Tate is the Capital Improvement Director. And I want to thank them all for being here. Well, thanks for being here, guys. And we're going to go right to the questions because there's a lot to get answered in a short amount of time. And we'll start with you, Dan. Let's try to break down this huge project, beginning with State Highway 183. What's going to be happening there?
Well, the 183 project, the city of Irving, originally it was just going to be State Highway 183, basically from the West County line all the way to the East County line, which is a little bit farther than Texas Stadium over to the river. However, TxDOT was able to work with a design developer, and actually we're able to include 114 as part of that project. So the city of Irving is going to get a much larger project than what it originally envisioned. In this 183 project, it's an $850 million project that's going to be done in about 3.5 years. So you're going to see a lot of construction. It's going to be a beehive of opportunity out there. A lot of the work happens late at night also, but basically you're getting a very huge roadway construction project, not just on 183, but on 114 also. So it's been a project that's been decades in the making, and it's finally coming to fruition.
Yes, indeed. And how will the toll lanes work? Is it a guaranteed speed?
Yeah, the way the state has it, it's a guaranteed speed of 50 miles an hour and their congestion price. What that means is off-peak, when it's something other than the average going into work or coming home at days like 7 to 9 or 5 to 7, they're going to be priced differently. They'll be higher priced during the congested hours to help reduce the congestion on the free lanes, and on off-peak hours it'll be priced a lot less.
Wow, and so this is only the first phase, so what's the ultimate vision?
Well, there's 2 phases, you're right. This is the first phase. This is called the interim phase, and what you'll see there are the frontage roads being reconstructed, various bridges. You're going to see roads like the MacArthur Overpass, O'Connor, Carl. You're going to see Esters improved. And the ultimate phase is actually going to do more free lane capacity and additional toll managed lane capacity, as well as some other bridges that just economically, it's not feasible to build these at this point in time. Now, on the 114 part of the Midtown Express, what you're going to see are the managed toll lanes going down the current center line of the road today. And if you go out there today and drive State Highway 114, you'll notice that the Southgate constructors are already starting by barricading. They're also putting up concrete barriers, and they're working on various parts of it. For instance, the O'Connor Overpass today at 114 is going to be under construction. It'll be closed this weekend, so they can work on that. So.
Interesting. And I know, Don, a lot of business owners are interested in what's going on too. And you've been visiting a lot of businesses along 183. What's your message been?
Well, the message has been it's coming. We've had approximately 135 commercial properties that are actually impacted. We made a point of, to me, the communications is the biggest thing and biggest opportunity that we have, is to keep the business owners aware of what is happening, when it's happening, and also to make sure that they are protected. For example, we've hosted like 3 or 4 town hall style meetings for the businesses, and again, that means walking up and down 183 to make sure you get to every business.
Interesting. And you've helped several relocate, right?
Yes, ma'am, I sure have. We've tried to reach out to every business that's being impacted, and tried to find them, help them relocate somewhere within Irving. A couple of the successes we have was like the Whataburger was torn down on 183 to the east. They moved in further central on 183, which I think was a much improved location for them. We had the 7-Eleven that moved from the corner where it was being impacted across the street to improve their access during the construction period. And even some very small businesses, a little donut shop, we were able to help them find another location within Irving. So we're real proud of the success that we've had.
Wonderful. And Casey, I know your team's been busy too. Let's talk particularly first about sound walls. I know that's the first step, and some of those sound walls have already gone up, right?
That's correct. Most of the sound walls, in fact, all but about 100 feet of it has been built so far. There's one segment left just west of the hospital on the south side, kind of in the area where Sunnybrook and Jody Lane is. The reason it could not be built with the original phase was that the creek channel is in the way. It's being relocated further to the east, which will make room for the new sound wall, the last piece of it, to be installed.
Very interesting. And next, Todd, as we talk about some of the advanced work that's being done, you've been involved with the relocation of a major water line. Why did that need to be done?
Well, the project that's moving forward has had a big impact on a lot of our utilities, but one of the biggest projects that we have is with our Jameson water line. It's one of 3 of our water lines that we use to bring water into the city. It serves really Irving south of 183. It's a 48-inch line. It's a major supply line for us, and so we've been working for about 15 years. We've been planning for this project, and we've been relocating this water line in segments in anticipation.
Interesting. And it actually so involved a lot beyond the immediate 183 corridor, is that correct?
That's correct. The line actually goes all the way into Dallas, but the part that we have focused on is from our MacArthur pump station, which is roughly at MacArthur and 183, over to Loop 12 and 183. There's parts of the line that actually go under the frontage road of the current 183, and so we've been relocating it south as we've been reconstructing Grawweiler. We've been installing that line within the pavement of Grawweiler, and then most recently with the MacArthur project. So it's been designed and built over about 15 years, and we're finally getting to the point where it's finished and it's actually in service now.
Wow, I'm glad you were talking about the time it takes, because it's going to take some time, of course. And Dan, give us a time frame of when we'll see major construction really begin on 183.
Okay, one thing I'm going to jump back just a second here. When you talk, like when you were asking Casey about the sound wall, or Todd about the water line being rebuilt there, the city of Irving, even though the actual project didn't let till just recently, City of Irving has been working over a decade in making sure that our utilities are out of the way. So a lot of proactive thinking, not just by staff, but councils, that allowed and provided staff the ability to relocate these, to get the sound walls up ahead of time to help mitigate noise impacts to the adjacent neighborhoods. So the whole project has really been under construction, I'll tell you, for more than 5, almost 10 years. So just bits and pieces have been worked on, but whatever it takes to move the ball farther down the field is what staff and our other partners at TxDOT have been working with, as well as our legislators, local and state, have been just key to the success of this project. As for a timeline, the 183 project is a 3.5-year project, 1,260 days for substantial completion. So that means there may be little bits of grass and stuff they have to put back, but basically the main lanes as well as your managed HOV system will be in place. The original time frame for this project was over 10 years in construction. So this is a significant reduction in time. So this design build philosophy to build it certainly is going to bring new construction methods in that procure and get the road built significantly faster than it would have been under conventional methods.
Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you for explaining that. And Don, what do you anticipate that the economic impact is actually going to be along 183 once this is all complete?
Well, just to tack on to what Dan was saying about reducing it down to like 3.5 years, we supported that at the Texas state legislature just to make sure, because we knew that would minimize the economic impact on the businesses. Rather than have the road torn up for 10 years, it'll be only 3 years. We worked with the city in developing a new overlay district that we believe will improve the looks as well as the flow of traffic along 183, and we think the new economics from that will be significant for our businesses, as well as generation of property values for the city.
Interesting. Okay. And Todd, I want to come to you next, because in addition to the Jameson line you mentioned a bit earlier, there are some other possible utility relocations, right? Can you tell me about planning for that?
Yeah, absolutely. The Jameson line is the most significant part of our infrastructure that's been impacted, but we have a number of water and sewer lines that both cross the Highway 183 and also that are parallel that serve the businesses up and down 183. So we've had a pretty extended effort from my staff, Casey's staff, Dan's staff, working together to identify all those conflicts with the newly designed road, and then also work through which of those segments have to be replaced and how we're going to replace them. And Then the other step is to make sure we acquire easements so that we have the space to put those new lines in. And the advantage of that is that we're able to put these in a dedicated easement for a water and sewer line, and so it's much easier to access and maintain. And so when we do have problems down the road, it's much quicker for us to get to and get our lines back in service. So that's another key part of the project, is having separate easements for our utility for the future.
I see. And Casey, I understand that you've been working on some of the relocation as well, right?
Our staff has been working with Todd's staff and Dan's staff to oversee the plans, and we do all of Todd's work for water and sewer relocation, so this is just another portion of it. Now, it's going to be some 60,000 linear feet of line that's being relocated, so it's a large amount of work. In fact, it's broken down into 6 or 7 separate projects because it's just too big to do it at one time. So they're going to kind of hopscotch around through the corridor and work on segments at a time where they need to start working on the frontage roads or things like that. So it's broken down into manageable pieces, so it's not just one contractor trying to do all that work at one time.
Makes sense. So Dan, how can people get updates on what's happening, what's going on? If they want to find out, what do they do?
Well, the first thing you do is, if you have internet, you do drivemidtown.com.
Okay.
And I'd suggest that everybody do that. You can sign up for it. You can get daily alerts. You also, if there's traffic switches, because a lot of this work occurs in the evening hours as well as on the weekend. They have updated detour maps. And basically it'll give you just a snapshot, a look ahead, a fly on the wall of what the contractor is looking to do out on the facility. Mm-hmm. Certainly if you have any questions or anything, if you're an affected business, they're going to host June 17th with the chamber. They're going to hold a business task force meeting. Okay. I'd encourage any business to go to that meeting, and you can get more information on drivemidtown.com. That is really their public information arm about the whole project. And you can also dial 844-183-114.
Give us that number again.
844-183-114. And that's a toll-free line that takes you directly to the Midtown Express group.
Thank you.
But I want to follow. I didn't answer your other question completely. You'll start to see work starting next week.
Okay.
Between William Brewster and MacArthur Boulevard on the south side of 183. That is the first utility project that's getting ready to be under construction. So you'll see the more major stuff starting to happen in 1 week.
Very soon.
Yep.
Yeah. So Todd, let me ask you this: what do you do to minimize service disruptions?
Well, there is an expectation that our water and sewer services are going to be operational 24 hours a day, and so we have staff that's available to answer questions and to go out and respond to customer issues. And we'll have staff available throughout the project 24 hours a day, weekends, to be able to work through issues as our lines are under construction. There will be lines that will be taken out of service, and service that will be transferred from one line to another, and so we'll be working with the team and have people out in the field that can communicate with our customers and let them know when we may have to turn their water off for a brief period of time, but we'll be doing everything we can to schedule that at nights and weekends and times that can accommodate our customers the best. So that'll be an ongoing effort for us to try to provide the best customer service that we can.
Thank you. And Dan, I want to come back to you, and let's move from 183 and talk a bit about State Highway 114. We can already see work going on there a little bit. Can you tell us exactly what's happening?
Well, right now they're working on the bridge on O'Connor, over O'Connor. They're getting ready to work on actually widening out the road. So what they're doing is they're moving, they're called traffic switches, where they're actually moving the traffic more out to the outer sides of the facility so they can add additional pavement so they can start working on the inside managed HOV system. So they're starting. 114, you'll see more work on it on the driving surfaces at the start. That's a 660-day project, whereas 183 is the longer one. But because that's a little bit easier one to work on, and I say easier in relative sense from the contractor's perspective, you'll see a lot more work on the 114 gearing up real fast. Okay. 183, there's a lot of utility, so that's going to bog down the actual pavement style of construction. But 114 is going to be busy. Please go to drivemidtown.com.
Please, right? And Don, of course, 114 is very important for a lot of business people here in the Las Colinas area. And what's your message to the business community?
Well, same as Dan, is to enroll and get those daily updates or hourly updates in some cases. And again, on June 17th, we'll be hosting there in the chamber offices an update from the company, the construction company. And I would like to invite all of the business community to come and participate. It's on our website, www.irvingchamber.com, where you can more information about this meeting that's coming up. Again, communications, as I said earlier, is the key to keeping to assist Dan and everyone in making this smooth move and being able to get to your place of employment and home again in a very easy fashion.
Sounds good. Casey, I want to come to you next, and we're going to divert a little bit and change from Midtown Express and talk a bit about a project that's near there. What's going to be happening on Las Colinas Boulevard?
Right, we have plans to reconstruct Las Colinas Boulevard, essentially from Fuller all the way east over to Riverside Drive. And what we'll be doing now, it's a 6-lane divided, and we'll be taking that down to a 4-lane divided with parallel parking on both sides of the road. There's a lot of businesses that line that particular stretch of roadway. So we're going to be putting in new pavement, and the parallel parking will be advantage for the businesses there. Now there's spotty parking in the outside lane at certain times of day. There'll be dedicated parking around the clock there. So it's going to be a much more pedestrian friendly design. It's very similar to what we just did on O'Connor right there. And we're going to be starting on that on the Fuller end up towards the convention center. Anticipation of getting that done early next year, so that when the Music Factory and everything opens on that end, we're not inconveniencing those patrons that go there. So you'll see that part done first. The whole project will probably start this fall, and it'll be about a 15-month project to be completed. But we will maintain two-way traffic through that project, both directions, and we'll work with the businesses to make sure they have adequate parking in front of their businesses.
I'm sure they were happy to hear that. Dan, something else I want to talk about, switching back to Midtown Express a bit, is Loop 12. A lot of folks interested in hearing about that too. What's going on there?
Well, on Loop 12, they're also going to be adding the managed HOV system, but there's two major bridge structures you're going to see as part of this project. For eastbound 183 to go northbound on Loop 12, you're going to have what are called direct connect ramps, and those are the bridges that take you from the main lanes of actually Loop 12 heading east to go north on Loop 12, and you'll also have the one going back, and those are for the managed lanes as well as the free lanes. So that'll help the flow of that significantly.
There's a lot going on around here.
There's a lot.
And it's going to be good to see how it comes out. Casey, work on MacArthur Boulevard, that's been going on for a while now. Is that related to 183 at all?
It is, in the fact that that's where the Jameson, the last leg of the Jameson line, is underneath those northbound lanes on MacArthur. So as you noticed, that side was torn up first. And in fact, they're out there paving. They started on Tuesday, and they're out there paving right now. They should finish the paving of the northbound lanes tomorrow. Okay. Then they still have drive approaches to put in and street crossings to put in. But probably within about 2 weeks, to 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be switching traffic over to those new lanes on the northbound side. So we'll then be working on the southbound lanes, which are the original lanes right now. There's a very large drainage conduit that's going to run underneath those lanes, as well as a couple more water lines and sewer lines that run north and south under the roadway. But that project is anticipated to be done early in 2016. The rain we just had for literally 45 to 60 days delayed that a great deal. But we'll be seeing that sometime after the first of the year. We were trying to get that done as soon as we could so it wouldn't interact with the 183 project all that much, but it'll be still going on while they're working on 183 also.
Okay. Well, Don, a lot of these projects we were talking about are around the old Texas Stadium site. Mm-hmm. How is that going to affect, if at all, possible development there?
Well, we've been working, of course, marketing that area for several years now, trying to find that great signature project that will be coming into it. We've been working with the city staff on proposals that, to minimize the impact of any construction that would be going on there. And yes, it'll have an impact, but the flow, traffic flow in and out of the area will certainly be improved. That site also has already there a North Orange Line station that's been deferred, but that will also improve the flow of it. And there's also a signature bridge that's planned to cross there and provide pedestrian as well as vehicle access. So I think the total project of 114, 183, Loop 12 will only improve the marketability of that particular site, plus the Dart Orange Line being available there.
Interesting. And Dan, can you help us understand a bit? Take your time with this. I mean, there's a lot of roles of different groups involved in the Midtown Express. We have the city, we have TxDOT, and Southgate. Can you explain the role of each?
Absolutely. Well, obviously it's in the city of Irving, so the city of Irving is a player in this, and the city of Irving has been proactively working with TxDOT in acquiring right-of-ways and easements to help facilitate TxDOT's project. And TxDOT hired Southgate to be the contractor for the design build. So it is a TxDOT facility being built for TxDOT. Now, what makes this unique is design build means you're designing it as you're building it. Yes, we have an idea of what it's going to look like, but the physical construction and the actual how it exactly is going to look is being determined as it's being built. But also, this is a real unique project in the sense that Southgate also has a 25-year maintenance responsibility for 183. So even though it's an $850 million project, TxDOT brought $600 million to the table, Southgate brought about $250. They have a $200 million obligation for maintenance for the next 25 years. So I think that speaks to how well it needs to be built, because they ultimately are going to be responsible for maintaining it. And usually when a contractor, after they build a road after a year or two, that's their maintenance responsibility. It ends at that point, whereas here you have 25 years. So they're going to be around for a while, and it's a high quality group that's building this. This is what they do. So we're very excited.
Sounds like it, and you should be. Casey, the look of the project, he mentioned a bit about that. It's also something that your team's working on. Can you fill me in on it a bit?
We have been meeting with Southgate and TxDOT and looking at the aesthetics for the corridor. If you've driven through the new segment of 114, you've seen that the MSC, which is the retaining walls, have some images in them, and you see the colors out there. I think those are tan and cinnamon color. We're working on new images for the 183 bridges. They would be at the side of the retaining walls where you would stop at the stoplights. You'd be able to see those images. We're working on a theory of planes, trains, and automobiles based on transportation, kind of transitioning from trains on the east, planes on the west, automobiles in the middle. So we are coming forward in the next month with some of those images for council review at some of their committees meetings. But they're looking at several different color options, and we'll discuss that with the council, and that will be coming forward probably within the next month for some public reviews, and we'll put some images out on the webpage. I would also say that in addition to going to the drivemidtown.com, on the city webpage we do have a link for construction projects where you can click on that and sign up for a listserv.
Okay.
Put your email in there, and we will be sending out different social media messages to anybody on that listserv, letting them know not only what's going on coming up or changes to the roadways, but how our road system is interacting with the 183 project. So it's just another way to get information pushed out to the residents who are interested. I mean, if you wake up in the morning and you find out that a access lane or an exit lane is being moved, we'll be steering that. While it is a TxDOT project, we'll be providing information as much as we can also.
Wonderful. And when you talked about the look of the project in itself, you're doing the undergrounding, the power lines. Why is that so important?
Well, we are looking at that right now. I would tell you that the initial cost estimate for that was so high that I'm not sure we're going to be able to do all of it.
Okay.
But we are still working to try to get some of it done. It had an initial cost estimate of around $8 million. And so we are looking to pick our battles on that and try to find what is the best solution for the undergrounding. But what it does is it improves the image. We've been doing that on the new roads we build, Grauweiler, MacArthur, O'Connor, and it really cleans up what the corridor looks like and makes it more pleasing.
Wonderful. And we're almost out of time, but I want to ask you really quick, Don, what kind of feedback are you getting from the business owners when you talk to them about this project? I know you're having to relocate some, but are they excited about what the future brings?
Yeah, I think they're all excited about what the future will be. Everybody recognizes that you'll have some pain during the interim, but the end product will be, I believe, improved access for our businesses.
Good deal. And Dan, I know a lot of people are going, okay, what's that time frame again? That's what they're really trying to get in your mind. So can you recap a bit what the time frame is and how people can stay updated on these projects?
So stay updated, drivemidtown.com. The time frame for 183 is 3.5 years. So basically fall of 2018 is when it should be substantially complete. And 114 is a little bit less than that, about 2.5 years. So, and that's, clock has already started on that. So do drivemidtown.com. You can call the City of Irving Transportation. We can help you too if you have a question, or we'll steer you in the right direction with the contractor. More than happy to do that.
Wonderful. I know Casey mentioned that the recent rains we had in May caused a lot of delay. Is that possible for these projects? Do you think that did you leave an opening for delays, or did you guys kind of say, okay, we're saying it's going to be 2018, but it could be sooner than that if you don't have delays? I mean, is there
the
a possibility?
contractor wants it to be done sooner, but
I was
yeah,
hoping you'd say
there's
that.
always weather days built into any contract.
Good.
I'll certainly say that the rain event that we've experienced the last 45 days is something very unusual. So we love the rain, but we'd like it more over a longer time period, but less. So no, I think they'll easily hit the date, and if the weather stays good, they'll do it even sooner.
And then you have a special event coming up that people can attend. You mentioned that before.
That was the Business Owners Task Force meeting, and that's June 17th. And Don, I said I believe that was at their offices. So I'd encourage all the businesses to sign up for that or to go to that, because it's really directed more towards the businesses on with the contractor, and they'll have the right individuals there to ask the questions that matter to businesses. And kind of like what Todd Rick was saying, our utilities director, water, sewer, how to work on that, when they turn them on, when they turn them off, when they construct in front of theirs, as well as access when your driveway is going to be open or closed. The best way to communicate, and perfectly to give contact names and numbers, so if something does happen, the contractor has the business name, number, and who to contact to help avoid any misinformation.
Wonderful, and I'm glad you mentioned Todd, because I'm going to give you the last question here, Todd, and that is the rain. How does that affect you and what you're doing?
For water supply,
Yes.
It's had a big impact, mainly in water sales. People have turned their irrigation systems off, which during the drought was a good thing. We're doing everything we could to conserve water, but our lakes are full again. We're in good shape going into the summer, so we're back to encouraging our customers to have 2 days a week essentially to irrigate their yards. And we've proven, I think, through the last couple of droughts that we've been through the last 10 years that that's sufficient to water your yard. And so we're looking forward to a summer with limited water restrictions and getting back to normal.
There's something really positive out of all that water we received, right? Thank you all so much for answering all these questions today. I'm sure a lot of folks, business owners and residents, will be grateful. Thanks. And thank you for watching. I'm Starlene Stringer. Please be sure to join us on Thursday, July 2nd at 1:30 p.m. for our next edition of Open Line. Our topic will be the new teen homeless shelter under construction. Email questions to ictn@cityofirving.org, and we'll get them answered on our next show. We'll see you then.